What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am here with new release review where I give you my thoughts and opinions about the most recent brand new releases. Are they worth your time? But most importantly, are they worth your money? I'm going to start off with a movie that I desperately needed to rewatch, and that is the brand new 4K Criterion for our latest Best Picture winner, Anora. And the reason why I say I had to rewatch this movie is because, as you guys know, or you may not know, if this is your first video here on my channel, I hope I do not offend you with what I'm about to say. When Anora did win Best Picture, when Mikey Madison won for Best Actress, I was not super thrilled with those choices because the one and only time I did see Anora was in theaters. I thought the film was okay. I didn't see all of the hype surrounding the movie. I didn't really understand how this film got all the way to be nominated for Best Picture, and then it actually won. I could not believe that this movie, like the little movie that could, won against The Brutalist, because The Brutalist was a 3-hour epic movie with an incredible performance from Adrien Brody. Everyone in that film gave such an amazing performance. So I did need to rewatch Anora because I just had to revisit this after it won everything at the Oscars. I really did need to see, okay, let's analyze this movie again and really understand why this film won Best Picture, why Mikey Madison won Best Actress over Demi Moore. I still don't understand it. I'm sorry. If you love Anora, if you love this movie, and I'm sure you do, this film has a lot of fans. The fan base for Anora is absolutely huge. I personally don't understand it. It's a solid movie. In my opinion, it's a solid movie. It's an okay movie. I understand that you guys want to support smaller films. I love that. I want to support smaller films as well. I love The Substance. That was a smaller movie too. And I'm not saying that The Substance should have won Best Picture. I mean, it was there. It could have. But I just don't understand why Anora was the actual winner. I guess I'm always going to be questioning it. I'm not really sure. The win for Mikey Madison, I'm still not over it yet. I'm not over the fact that Demi Moore lost to Mikey Madison. It really kills me still to this day because I just rewatched this movie last night, so it's fresh in my mind. Yes, Mikey Madison did have a lot of emotional moments and arcs and things like that. I do understand that part more. What I really think pushed Mikey Madison for the win over Demi Moore is her existence in the movie. Demi Moore was really only in The Substance for about half of the film. She shared screen time with Margaret Qualley, whereas Mikey Madison was this movie. She pretty much was in every single scene of the film, so I think that is what gave her the edge over Demi Moore at the end of the day. I don't agree with it, but I think I'm more understanding of it. Now, as far as the movie itself and winning Best Picture, that I do not understand. And I don't think I'm going to understand that anytime soon, because it's an all right movie. And I'm not saying this because I'm a prude by any means, because I am not. I'm very accepting of, people's sexual lifestyles and whatever your choices are. I know I may be kind of be getting political right now just a little bit, but that's not my intention here. What I'm trying to say is that the first half of this movie just really doesn't have any substance to it. And I don't mean to bring the substance into this by saying that word, but that's really the only word that I can use to describe this. The first half of this movie is Mikey Madison in a strip club trying to make money all night. She comes across the Russian kid. Then he wants her for a week and they're hooking up constantly. They're having sex in every single corner of every room of every building, like this is nothing but sex. Sex, sex, sex. There really is no quality in the first half of the movie. And then we get to the second half of the film where the entire tone of the movie shifts over kind of to a comedy. Like once the goons of the Russian kid's family comes in, then we have a little bit of relief, and I can kind of understand why this movie did get all of the hype. I definitely do enjoy the second half of this movie more than the first. To me, Anora is just very uneven in tone. And I don't really know why that's a problem for me, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't really know. All that I do know is that I am not the biggest fan of this movie. I don't understand why it won Best Picture. I can now understand a little bit more why Mikey Madison won over Demi Moore. Do I agree with it? No, absolutely not. I don't agree with it. I do think Demi Moore should have won over Mikey Madison, but with everything that I've said about this movie, we're just going to have to agree to disagree, because I can only imagine the comments that I'm about to receive, because I know this film, again, has a huge fan base. I respect that. I understand it. If you guys love this movie, that is fantastic. This is not a film that I'm going to be rewatching constantly. And I'm sure at this point you're probably asking, why do I even have it in my collection? The only reason is because it did win Best Picture, because I am trying to have all of the Best Picture winners in my collection. If Anora did not win Best Picture, I would not be holding this in my hand. Simple as that. But because it did win, I do need it in my collection. So I will revisit it down the line in time. I will watch it before the next Academy Awards. That's what I'm trying to do now. So that's probably going to be the next time that I watch Anora. So I'm happy. Overall, I am happy that I did rewatch this movie. It did change my mind just a little bit about Mikey Madison, but not the overall film itself. So the next three movies I'm going to talk about, I'm just going to combine all together because they are the Clint Eastwood 4Ks. All three of these from Warner Brothers, so thank you, WB, for sending these over to me. All three with amazing looking slipcovers. There's also 4K steelbooks available as well if you guys are interested. These are available right now for you guys to pick up. But we have the Outlaw Josie Wales. We've got Dirty Harry. And also, I'm covering up the title, Pale Rider. So which one of these movies did I enjoy the most? Well, I'm not going to reveal that until after I'm done talking about all three of them individually, but I'm not going to go full on extensive because they're very simple plot lines. There's really nothing to get super in-depth about all of these movies. So in the Outlaw Josie Wales, I will admit, that movie out of the three was the most, not difficult, but it was the most trying movie for me to watch because I did have to watch it twice, because the first time I did fall asleep. I was tired, no reflection on the film. And then the second time I did pop it in because I did want to watch all the way through. It was a little bit of a struggle. I think I was just kind of bored with the movie. I got to be honest, just a little bit. Not that I don't like the movie. I'm happy that I have it in my collection. I want to watch it again. I do want to try to be more engaged with the movie. But when I compare it to the other two, it was just not as entertaining to me as the other options of the three, if that makes any sense. So, by the way, these were all first-time watches for me. So the Outlaw Josie Wales, what's happening really quick in this movie is that Clint Eastwood, pretty much his character is out for revenge. Basic plot line, out for revenge. So I really do wish that I did enjoy the Outlaw Josie Wales just a little bit more. But I mean, I'm definitely going to keep this, all three of them actually, and I will revisit it. And also, it is a Western, and the Western genre isn't my go-to. I am trying to change that. Hey, there were two of them in this pile, and I did watch both, so that is pretty good. But I would like to watch this again and really appreciate the movie for what it is. Okay, then we have Dirty Harry. So in this movie, again, very simple. Clint Eastwood is playing a cop in Dirty Harry. He's like, no nonsense, don't mess with me. Not really playing by the rules kind of cop. He does, but he doesn't mind breaking them when he has to. And pretty much he's on the hunt for a killer. And then eventually in the movie, there's a 14-year-old girl's life at stake, and everything is like on the line. Great movie, wonderful film. The famous quote, did I shoot 5? Did I shoot 6? Do you feel lucky? That whole thing. It was great. It was awesome to actually see it on screen. I've always heard about the quote, but it was nice to actually hear it from Clint Eastwood himself. A lot of people are saying that Dirty Harry is one of the best 4K transfers of the year so far, and I do have to agree. It looks very, very nice. In fact, all three, I'll bring back this one, all three of them are great transfers. So that should not be a worry for you. If you're questioning about whether or not you want to pick up any of these 4Ks based off of the 4K transfer, don't even worry about that, because all three of them look great, because these are older movies. I'm not really sure exactly of the release dates of all of them for the year, but they all look great. Fantastic looking 4Ks. So again, enjoyed Dirty Harry, but my favorite of the three, I'm going with Pale Rider. Surprising, I know. This is all about Clint Eastwood. Pretty much his character is known as the preacher, and he randomly comes across this like little community of people on this land that are kind of just being threatened, and other people want to push this little community off of this land property. And so Clint Eastwood rolls up and helps out this community with fighting the bad guys. Again, very simple plot. I love it. You don't need anything too complicated. And I really enjoyed this movie. I love the way Clint Eastwood played this character. I thought it was very, very subtle, just enough, and it was great. And I stayed awake. I stayed awake the entire way through. So all three of the Clint Eastwood 4Ks from Warner Brothers, high recommendation from me to you. If you don't want to pay the full price, just wait for a sale, because they are worth it. They are definitely worth it. All right, now I'm going to segue into the Kino Lorber titles, and these are going to be the last 4 movies that I talk about. And the first one, speaking of 80s and 90s nostalgia, this was perfect timing for me to receive this movie because it came out in 1991. I remember watching this movie back in the day. It was written and produced by John Hughes. It is Career Opportunities, the brand new 4K for Career Opportunities. If you have not seen this movie, the basic plot line of what's going on here is that you have this kid right here. He's known as the town liar. He really doesn't have much going on in his life, and so he can't really hold down a job. He gets fired all the time. He does nothing but create stories, super outlandish stories. And then you have Jennifer Connelly's character, who is the rich kid in town. Like, her father is the richest guy in the town, and obviously this is his daughter. And so she kind of tries to push the limits just to like get attention and things like that, because, she doesn't really think she has much to offer and stuff. And so these two meet because he gets a job as the night janitor in Target. And then she was contemplating shoplifting in Target, but decided not to. So when the store closed, she just hid out in like a fitting room. So while he's doing his job, and he's not really doing his job though, because he's just goofing off inside of Target. And then she shows up randomly in an aisle and freaks him out. And the story like goes from there. I know I kind of like gave a lot, but it's such a good movie. I didn't really reveal anything. Like not too much. But you know what? That's the brilliancy of 80s and 90s movies. Is because movies during that time period didn't need to be overly complicated. It could be the simplest of simple plot lines, and all of a sudden you have a really engaging movie. And that's where the genius of John Hughes comes in as a writer. But there's also a couple of criminals that these two encounter that break into Target, and I'm not going to say anything more. I love this movie. As you guys can tell, I'm beaming. I love this movie. I've always loved this movie. It's not my favorite John Hughes movie, but as far as it being a John Hughes film, I really love this movie. It's just so real and relatable, and the feelings that the characters are expressing. That's why John Hughes was so brilliant as a writer for his films, because he just knew how real teenagers spoke back in the 80s and 90s. It was so relatable during that time period. And so this is absolutely a fluff movie. There's no super serious substance to this, but if you're a major fan of career opportunities, then it is worth picking up the 4K. And I will say that the 4K transfer of this is not the best I've ever seen, but it's solid. There's some moments in the movie where it's like, wow, that 4K looks really, really nice. But it's solid. It is solid all the way through, so I do recommend. Obviously, I'm going to recommend any of my personal favorites I want you guys to check out as well. Okay, so the next Kino Lorber title is the 4K for Sneakers. Now, this was a first-time watch for me, and I love a movie with a great ensemble cast, and this is what Sneakers has. But what I love even more is that the ensemble for this movie is kind of like a random bunch of actors that you really wouldn't think would ever work together, but they do in this movie. You have Robert Redford with iconic Sidney Poitier, with Dan Aykroyd into the mix, River Phoenix, and David Strathairn. And then the real female lead in this movie is Mary McDonnell. Sorry, I had to look. I almost forgot her name. So this group of actors here play a group of hackers, and they're really, really good at their job. They're pretty much at the top of their game. All of them come from like past lives. Like, I can't remember, not like past lives, but you know what I'm saying? Like they all have something in their past, which gives them, like special skills for what they're doing now. There we go. That makes sense. Like Sidney Poitier came from the CIA. So that's a very important skill to add to a group of hackers. So this group of hackers in this movie comes across something. They call it like the black box, and what they come to realize in the movie is that the black box is capable of breaking into any computer system in the world, and pretty much anyone would give any amount of money or would do anything to get this black box. It's very, very, very important and very, very destructive as well. So there's one particular government agency, I should say, that is really wanting this black box. And so that's what's happening in this movie, is that the group of hackers want to keep it away from that certain group that wants to take it. And the leader of that group has a past with Robert Redford's character. This was a really great movie. I loved it. Again, first time watch for me. Very entertaining. All the actors were just great. And you would think that like Dan Aykroyd, because automatically comedian, that's what we think of him as. We don't really think Dan Aykroyd as a very serious actor, but he was more serious in this movie, and I enjoyed seeing that serious side of him. And River Phoenix brought more of a comedic element. I thought he was great. But I think my favorite character overall is David Strathairn's character, because his character is blind in the movie. And at one point, he's actually driving a vehicle, and Robert Redford is trying to direct him by walkie-talkie, and the entire sequence is just hilarious. So Sneakers is a winner. If you love a movie with a great ensemble, Sneakers, you cannot go wrong. And I did pop in the Blu-ray just out of curiosity, in comparison to the 4K. The 4K is a much improved over the Blu-ray. So I do recommend picking up the 4K of Sneakers if you guys are interested. All right, 2 more movies to talk about. The next one is the brand new 4K from Kino Lorber of Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead. Obviously, this is starring Andy Garcia. And this is another kind of like ensemble cast. You have Andy Garcia, you have Christopher Walken, Fairuza Balk is in this movie as well, Christopher Lloyd, Treat Williams. There's a lot of notable actors in this movie. So you have Andy Garcia here, who was in the mob at one point, but I guess he's like wanting to get out of that lifestyle. So he's attempting to do something else, but not really being so successful. When one day a crime boss, I'm not sure if he was Andy Garcia's crime boss, but I can't really remember that, but a crime boss played by Christopher Walken wants Andy Garcia to pull off a job. And so he agrees to do it, but he needs a crew, his like past crew, to help him out to pull off the job. That's where Christopher Lloyd and Treat Williams come in, and there's 2 other guys, so 5 of them total, 4 of the crew and Andy Garcia, so 5 total. The job does not really go as planned, and so because of that, what ended up happening is just no good. I'm not going to say exactly what it is because that's a spoiler, but it's not good. What happened is not good. And so because they failed in pulling off the job, their lives pretty much are going to be non-existent in 48 hours if they don't get out of there. So pretty much they have 2 days to figure out, what are we doing? Where are we going? And what's going to happen? So they are just they're scattering, they're trying to figure out what to do. I really enjoyed this movie as well. You guys know that anything to do with mob or crime, this is a great crime thriller. So anything with like crime or thriller, mob lifestyle, I am into. So I enjoyed watching this for the first time as well. So Things to Do in Denver When You're Dead is another winner from Kino Lorber. The 4K looks nice as well. Now getting into the final movie I'm going to talk about, we've got the 4K from Kino Lorber of Fowl Play. So this movie is starring Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase, and this film was like a breath of fresh air, a nice comedy after watching like a couple of serious movies in a row. It was nice to watch a movie like this. So what's happening in Fowl Play is that Goldie Hawn's character is driving along and she comes across a random guy that is hitchhiking. His car broke down or something, and so she picks him up. By the way, this was back in the day in 1978 when picking up a hitchhiker was like no big deal, so that's why she did it. So she picks up this guy, and what she does not know is that he has some kind of like incriminating evidence against someone, and she doesn't know that this guy puts the evidence into her purse because these people are after him and he's trying to get rid of the evidence. And so he puts it into Goldie Hawn's bag. So then now these bad guys are after her and she has no clue why. She does not know why she's being chased by these people. They obviously, want to question her. They want to hurt her. They want to, keep her in a random warehouse somewhere. She doesn't know why this is happening. She's completely out of the loop. And that's why the movie is so funny, because you're following along with her as she's trying to put all of the pieces together. And where Chevy Chase comes in is that he's one of the cops that's trying to help her. And actually they meet in the very first scene of the movie. I think they're both at a wedding or something. They're both guests at a wedding and they randomly come across each other and have a little bit of an interaction, but nothing really comes of that. And so later on in the movie, he pops up as the cop, and then you're following along as everything, is unfolding, and you have this little romance brewing between Goldie Hawn and Chevy Chase. this is just a really, really fun movie. I had a great time watching this, and major part of that is because of Goldie Hawn. Now, I've seen a lot of Goldie Hawn performances, and I gotta say, this one is right up like top 5 favorite. And that is because she is just so charming and bubbly. And I know that pretty much is Goldie Hawn naturally. That's just how she is in real life as her, regular persona. But you know what? It's just infectious in this movie because it's so adorable. She's so young in this movie. She's so, like wide-eyed and wondering, and she's trying to figure out what's going on. And you can tell, like, as she's putting the pieces together in her mind, like her eyes are getting wider. She's just very expressive in this movie, and I loved it. It was just so, she's adorable. That's the word. She's adorable in this movie. And Chevy Chase, I didn't mind him in this film because I know behind the scenes Chevy Chase is like a nightmare apparently to work with, but I do like him on screen. Christmas Vacation is one of my favorite movies, and but in this movie it just seemed like he had a very laid back kind of personality, and he had really great chemistry with Goldie Hawn. So this is a great older comedy. If you're looking for something a little bit different, you don't want like a slapstick kind of comedy or overly raunchy or something like that. If you want like more of like a wholesome, I guess a wholesome comedy, then go for Foul Play. And the 4K transfer for this movie looked really, really good. So definitely worth it. So pretty much for all of these Kino Lorber 4Ks, whenever the next Kino Lorber sale comes up, where all of these movies are a part of it, pick them up. Pick up these 4Ks, $17.99. You really cannot beat that. So again, this was a very successful new release batch of movies. I mean, really, I'm recommending every single one to you. I mean, Anora is not my personal favorite, as I said, but if you're a major fan of Anora, you're going to want to pick it up. Did I mention how the 4K transfer was for Anora? I don't think I did. It looks great. It looks great. Criterion did a great job with the 4K for Anora. So those are my thoughts about the latest batch of brand new releases. So comment down below and let me know your thoughts about any of the movies that I talked about today. Don't forget to like and subscribe before you leave, and I'll see you next time.